Email. You sound like that witch or whatever. That scary movie.
Oh, the one from The Ring?
Yeah. Come on, Facebook. You can do it. I got faith in you. There you go.
There we go.
There you go. That's a good boy.
Yeah, guys. Yeah.
Where the fuck is my link at?
TCXL.
Yeah, I don't know why it says L. It's supposed to be live show, but whatever. It wouldn't let me edit it. Actually, maybe I can. Fuck. This is acting weird today. Like it's not. The link is popping up, but it's usually supposed to say video link. Oh, YouTube page. There it is. It's being really weird.
You are. What's going on, man? Oh my god.
What's going on now?
Just watching this boy struggle with a fucking garbage can.
Oh, the one in the wind?
Yes.
Have you seen the video of the misheard lyrics?
What?
The bad lip reading of the inauguration?
Oh no.
Oh,
I want
my
to see that.
God.
Can you send me that?
I'll tag you in that right now. Hold on one second. My girlfriend posted this like a minute ago. Have you seen it, Ian?
Oh, yeah. Is it the, I really, I'm going to pat you on the shoulder despite the fact I really hate you at the heart. You're a piece of shit. All right.
Yeah, that one. Hadouken to the face. Good stuff.
If you
I love
can
those
send
guys.
me that, I just want to. I love those lip syncing things.
Yeah, it's the same people. I just gotta find it. It's on my girlfriend's Facebook page, I think.
I could laugh my ass off of those.
Where the fuck is it? Did she? Oh, she must have posted it on my Facebook page, maybe.
It was a good one as well with Triumph, the insult talk. It was in the inauguration as well.
What's that?
Is for me to poop on, is that still his catchphrase?
What?
For me to poop on?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't recall he doing that this last one though. But yeah.
Where the fuck is it?
Antonio, have you played this title for the Saturn?
Which title?
NBA
Extreme? No.
Play this one? I don't know. It's like the first 3D NBA Jam I've seen.
Oh.
So I'll check it out.
What?
Is it for player?
Is it expandable?
Should be.
Yeah, 1 to 4 player. Yeah.
Wait, which one are you talking about?
I have
This one?
I have the thing for the port controllers thing.
Oh.
Oh shit! You should come over. We should play.
Yeah,
Get 2 other friends.
I have like 3 controllers for some reason.
I think I got.
Whatever. I'll send the link on this one.
I got the
Yeah,
flying
I got
stick.
3 controllers and an arcade joystick, so I got this. We can
Yeah,
play.
I got that exact same arcade. Is it the same?
Yeah, the one back on my shelf behind my head.
Yeah. Where's mine? Is that the one that? Let's see. Can you bring it a little bit closer? I think it is. No, it's not. No, I have the one. Mine is the one called Mission Stick.
Mine's the SCII.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not that then. Because that's like third party, right? Mine is first party.
Yeah, I think mine's third party. I bought mine, but then again, like I bought that probably like 4 years ago, back before the Saturn boom and all that shit became just unaffordable.
Can I just say that I really want to sell off everything that I have because to me again, yeah, since I started collecting shit, it was like probably 04 or some shit. So just in that, it's been a good. If I was to sell everything at normal retail prices or whatever prices they're going, that at all alone would be what, 4 times the value.
Yeah, I mean, you probably get more than you put in, or you probably get more out of it than you put in. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I plan on hanging on to mine for a long time
Well, but
because
that's
I want to share
and,
it with my kids.
but the other thing is that it's not only that, but the dollar, to me, if I was to sell it in the US, the dollar from when I was started buying this, it was probably 10 pesos per dollar, and now it's 21 pesos per dollar. So it's
Damn.
it will be probably 8 times what I paid for originally. So I think we're kind of in a bubble right now. So if I was to sell everything now, I think I'll go like really high, really high on what.
You know, I'm not convinced this bubble's gonna stop. I think there might
It will
be.
stop at some point. Come on.
I don't know, but here's the thing, though. I mean, like traditional bubbles are dictated by market demand and availability, and ultimately, the availability of retro shit's never gonna increase. It's always gonna stay at the same level. Or
Well, but that same thing happened with the comics, right? And everything, the availability is still the same.
But with comics, though, that happened because people believed that the massive number of comics produced in the '90s those were valuable somehow. Because I mean, like all the comics from like the '60s and '50s and '40s all retained their value exponentially. It's all the comics like after that just crashed the market.
Well, I think it's the same in this case. I think it's the value for that. Of course, is the value we give, right? Whatever we're willing to pay. And I think more consoles like the NES Classic come along, stuff like that come along, it will go to a point where people would just say, "Well, yeah, I mean, I like." But this is giving me that same feeling that I had instead of buying the actual thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will make it so that it's gonna become so much niche. It's niche, of course, right now, but
I can see your point in that sense, in the sense that I guess a lot of I guess I would call them, for lack of a better word, I guess casuals, the people who are buying those games or buying the consoles in those games because they want to play the old games, and as soon as they're available on an easier platform, will probably move away from it. I don't know. For me, it's like I love collecting these things because I know there will never be any more of them, and basically any future release of these systems, if they ever do that, will only be an imitation. So it won't be the legitimate thing that was released in the mid-'90s, nor will it be identical hardware or system build. So I don't know. I guess to me, they're going to retain their value to me just because I think there's never going to be any more of them.
Yeah,
but then again,
I think they will always be valuable. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we are in a peak, or very close to a peak.
A peak in what way?
In value. It's just value.
Oh. Well, essentially, he believes there's going to be a bubble in the sense that the value is being so inflated that market demand will never keep up with the current price, and prices will eventually lower and adjust to market demand.
There's a lot of things that people. Only people with a lot of money will be able to pay.
Oh yeah, well, even some of the things, like the funny thing, like Tyler, for example, buying Cheetah Men 2, which is a god awful game, and he probably paid like $900 for it. And
yeah, but he only works. All his income goes to that.
Oh right? yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So, but he's like is not this case of the majority of us.
He's
right?
probably a bad example. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to a very extreme example.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying, but like I guess that falls into your point where the conventional collector is never going to pay that much for something like that. Like he's never going to go out of his way to buy Cheetah Men 2 for that much in box.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm kind of agreeing with you in that regard.
Yeah. So again, don't get me wrong. I don't think these things will go to a point that they're not valuable. Like 2 cents for fucking little Samsung, or whatever. It's just not. It's not that. It's just that the way current prices are. I don't think they're sustainable, to be honest. I mean, the fucking the fucking games that I was able to buy for $2, $5 right now are like $40. Like, fuck. I mean, what at what point do people say no? I'm not gonna be paying $40 for that, and I think we're getting to that point. That's what I think. I'm seeing more and more stuff on eBay, for instance, that just are there eternally. They don't move, they don't sell because of the price. I guess that's what it is, right?
Yeah, for me, God, what really bummed me out was like for example, because you have the bubbling price and the value of retro stuff. Like I used to have like a ritual every Saturday morning. I get up at like 9 or 8 in the morning, and I go and hit go and hit thrift stores, and I just kind of look for retro stuff. And it's gotten to the point now where a lot of the stores, just because it's an old video game, think it's worth like $20. And I'm like, no, this is worth like $1, and you can buy it on Amazon for a penny and pay $3.99 shipping for it. And it's a complete misunderstanding of where the market's going, and that's kind of the annoying part of it.
Yeah, so I think that all contributes to that bubble that I'm talking about.
Now, can you explain the definition of a bubble, not just for me but for the viewers as well?
Well, it's just that a bubble inflates to a point and then explodes. Right? It's no more. So what happens is like one of the famous examples is the .com bubble, right? Where in the stock market, the fucking homepages from different things were going in value really high to a point where it became a bubble because eventually it bursted, and now those same stocks are, instead of be worthing even thousands of dollars per stock, now they're worthless pretty much. In this case, I mean, I don't think it will be to that point where, again, a little Samsung, how much is that going for right now? Is that $800?
They had it at a local retro shop I go to quite a bit. They just sold theirs, I think, for like $800.
$800, yeah. So that one, probably a year ago, it was like 500 or 600. So it's like 200 more than that. And I think it will eventually, that one, as an example, it will be, I don't think it will pass that much more than the $800. Probably be closer to the 1,000. Probably, it will never go more than that. People will not buy it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they will have to be lower in the price until people will start buying it again. And I think people will buy it again to when it goes way lower, probably to the $300 mark. I mean, again, it will still be valuable, right? It's still paying $300. So,
sorry, I actually read an article today. It's about the Wall Street Journal actually published an article today about the Neo Geo.
Yeah.
And apparently there is a incredibly lucrative market where. So I was reading an article about this exchange because I guess there are a fair number of Neo Geo cartridges that they only ever did like 150 of them. Like we're talking like a sub 1,000 units. And so these like Neo Geo cartridges are selling for like $25,000 a piece because there's only 100 of them in existence. And that right there, I think, is insanity. Like as far as like where that like retro collecting community is gone, where the Neo Geo stuff can only be collected by the most absurd and just eccentric rich person. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah, like I mean there are. So to respond to the statement of the person viewing, I think like Magic the Gathering, they've avoided doing a bubble because they like to do alleviated runs of cards. So the more rare cards get kind of eventually evened out into the market, so you avoid those type of market bursts. So so they've pretty much figured out their system, and they tend to keep it that way. So they intentionally devalue cards to keep the overall value of the game higher. And to me, retro collecting, I think it'll reach a ceiling to where people are only willing to pay X amount. Because ironically, like I like to go to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and like if you would think since you're going to a convention, you would be paying more for things because people know what the value is. But in those kind of communities, because those people, they have a passion for it and a joy for it, they're willing to give you a better deal on games because they literally want to share the community with people, and they know you're not there to resell it and be a dick and make a profit off it. Mm-hmm. And so like going to those and buying games is usually the best place to get them, because or Amazon. eBay is kind of garbage to me at this point.
Yeah.
And I got a question I want to kind of add on to what you're talking about here, because, and I want to preface this with my viewpoint of I like when games, depending on the game, when an old school game like a Nintendo game that I really liked, like a Secret of Mana 3 or Seiken Densetsu 3, Secret of Mana 2, were to be re-released on either like virtual console or an emulator or whatever, I would probably get that. But I'm going to be less likely to buy it on the physical copy if the price is ridiculously high. Also, the fact, and this is granted if I had my NES still, I don't know where it is. But my question
first of all, let me tell you that never released in the US. So
I know it is only like a mod. But for instance, like this, I'm using that as an example. If it was translated into English,
I have the repro over there.
I hate you so much. But my question is this: do you think people like me who will buy the virtual version or the remastered version are deflating or inflating the price of the actual original copies?
I think it's a different market.
Well, I'll tell you from experience in the sense that like rare PC games, like for example, System Shock 2, like 5 to 10 years ago, that game when I had it was going, actually more like 5 years ago, because I have it still in my physical copy somewhere. That game was worth like $150 because System Shock 2 was one of those rare classics and it failed. But as soon as they released a digital copy of it that ran on newer PC rigs, nobody went looking for the old physical copy anymore. But that was because availability kind of eliminated that demand. Right. But ultimately, what you have with like cartridge games, like the ones behind me, is people are going to be perpetually looking for that old experience they had with that nostalgia for how the game was when they were younger. So in that circumstance, that digital replacement will never replace the feeling they had when they used the original controller or the original system, like turning it on a little crappy CRT television. It'll never mimic that. So I think there is a definite difference between how that will retain its value, how those will lose their value. Digital copies will only take you so far, but these will pretty much always maintain their value because they're limited and the experience is so, what's the word I'm looking here for? Inclusive to what those systems were.
Right. So, but
I still think it's a different market.
I agree and disagree at the same time, because at one point, if I had the console, I would definitely bust it out and play it. I used to play it when I lived in San Diego. My friend had one, and we would actually go out and play it. But I go 50-50. Like if I have the console and I have the game, I will play the original version. But if I can't get the original version and I have the hankering to play the game, I'm going to get it one way or the other, if possible. And so I switch from one market to the other. And there are a lot of people like me who aren't, they have the passion to play the game. They prefer to play the original copy, but if they can't, they'll get it through other means, usually legally, if possible. So you have people jumping from the retro to the remastered or the re-release version. And I can't help but wonder if that in some instances, not all, but in some instances causes either the price to actually go up rather than going down.
No, I think we already have this example. Like for instance, we have example for Earthbound. Earthbound is a very sought after Super Nintendo RPG, right? And the prices, people thought, well, they will go down after the Virtual Console release that happened. And this was, keep in mind, this was a very expected release, because for the longest time Nintendo would not release it, and people just, why not, and what, it was a whole thing, right? It's actually out. It's $10, or it was when it came out. I don't know how much it is now, and the price has not either come down or up for the game. I mean, the game has gone up, but not because of that. It's just because of the, again, bubble that I think we are on. So it's really no change. And there's other examples besides that one that show that the releases on legal platforms don't seem to affect at all the actual physical thing and the actual product that existed, right? So I don't. That's why I think it's a different market. There's going to be overlap, as you said, Tavian, where you're the overlap where you will buy it, on a virtual console. And if you could be able to buy it physically, you would, right?
If the price is feasible, yeah.
Your overlap, but overall, those are different markets, in my opinion. And I think I think it's been proven already for the different releases that we've had.
Okay. What about Ian? You got anything to add on to that?
I was just curious about something because I bought a game for my Sega Saturn at a thrift store for like $7, and I was looking at the value of it now, and it's now worth about $300. And I was kind of really surprised. Well, ranges from $160 to $300.
Well, damn.
So Shining Force 3 for the Saturn. So I was just sitting here thinking about that. I'm like, holy shit, that has jumped in value quite a bit. And I don't know, it's kind of funny to me in the sense that, like, the systems in the games that have retained their value the most are the ones that failed the worst, probably. So it's kind of really intriguing in that regard. So I'm just kind of surprised by that. But one thing I would say is that, ironically, like, the one genre that like games retaining their value doesn't happen on is the PC. Like, and I think a lot of it has to do with the sense that PCs are always evolving moving forward, but they're all relatively kind of considered the same platform. So the older games for it are always being re-released on newer digital distribution systems. So people aren't necessarily opposed to that, and that means like kind of a lower price on the games.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I'm going, but that's kind of really interesting.
That is really interesting in the sense that the individual reseller can't really make a profit off of it like they can off of the hard copies of games, the console games. But at the same time, the distributor, the original distributor, can make money if they're still in business.
Oh yeah,
that's really interesting. I like about indie games too. I mean, because indie games are still relatively new versus AAA titles and older console games and older PC games. So I wonder, as gaming evolves and indie games become more standard, like how is that going to happen with PC games, like the re-releases and all that stuff?
Yeah, what's driven me nuts recently is, so like I like to go thrifting, and literally I'm competing against people now who are pretty much only into these games because they feel they can make a profit. And the sad part is I've been going out and collecting these games since like 2009. So I was out there looking at this stuff before the market or the retro craze even started back up aggressively. And it's just so odd because I think the market is being driven by people who want to make a profit. So that has drastically influenced Amazon and especially eBay. Like, eBay has become this really odd place where, like, people will, to get the value of something, will look at the first listing of something and not even consider how long that listing's been up or if it's ever even been bid on.
Yeah, instead of going into the fucking sorting thing and sort it by the ones that have sold, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to be looking at the amount sold, not the fucking listing, because as you said, I mean, you can list whatever you want for whatever price you want there. So you're saying essentially, so I'm going through and see whatever people are asking for it, or at least the first one people that I find asking for it, yet you don't know for how much they're sold, which is, that will be your price, right? Because as you say, right? You will see whatever game buy now at a fucking 400, and then you sort it by, okay, I want to see the last one sold, the last ones that are being sold, and they will be way less than that, of course. So I don't know. At the end of the day, and I think this will happen sooner rather than later, those things will start to drop. It will drop really hard, I think. Again, it will get stable to a point, but it's not gonna be nearly as much as it is right now.
I think definitely it's going to reach a point where people are only going to be willing to spend a certain amount for these things. I'm not willing to spend more than $100 on a Saturn game. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like,
Well, it's happened to me. I mean, it's been some while now that I've gone out try to buy anything because it's gotten to this point where it's like, oh, people want to just sell it for donkeys. It's like, no, I'm not paying.
So here's a incomplete thought I'd like you guys to try to add on to if possible. But we're pretty much the generation that's going to be buying those games. Our generation and maybe a little bit older are those people who are buying those resale Atari games, Nintendo games, and so on. And as we get older, you know, the gaming industry is changing, and even long past once we're gone, is there really going to be a demand for those games anymore, or are they going to be viewed the same way? Because people who are buying these games might not even they might have the same high value. Like hypothetically, if it still had that same high value, they wouldn't even probably play the game. It'd be more of an artifact than it would be an actual game to be enjoyed.
No, I think it will be again. It will be a crash, and it will stabilize to whatever level. It will still be selling. It will still be something that the newer generations will continue to do. It's like everything collectible. And everything, especially like gaming will always be there now forever, right? So the new generations will be people that get really into gaming will wanna go as I want to see the roots of this, right? And I want to be having that experience of the origins of gaming, and we'll do it like it's again for everything collected. Like for instance, for watches. There's newer watches, right? But there's a thing as well for vintage watches, right? The watches are not as reliable as they are now. I'm talking about mechanical watches, right? But yet they have a charm of how old they are, and you will have some watches like, for instance, Omega. That right now, if you want to buy a newer Omega, a Speedmaster Omega, it will be $12,000, right, for a watch like that, and you can watch a vintage Speedmaster for $600, right? So there's people that will say, well, you know what? Well, I don't want to spend that much for a newer one, but I still want to have that heritage or whatever it is, the horology heritage that they have, and they go ahead and spend that money for the vintage one. And I think it's something very similar will happen with gaming as well. And it's people that didn't grow in the 60s and they will buy a 60s watch again, right? People that was born in the 90s are buying watches like that. I think the same thing will happen with gaming.
You know what's really funny? Watches, ironically, have enjoyed a surprisingly recession-proof kind of market.
Not now.
What's really, well, at least here were like the studies I was reading about it, and what they found was because a lot of people, you would think because you have your phone in your pocket that, and the clock's on it, that you wouldn't really need a watch anymore. But I guess with the recent release of smartphones and the fact that smartphones have limited battery life, there actually was and is a resurgence in watch buying because watches have that perpetual reliability and time telling. So it's kind of interesting in that regard.
I think for luxury watches. Right?
Oh yeah, that's one of those weird ones. Like I don't know. Then again, I've known some drug dealer friends who they were all about buying really expensive watches. But that was I don't know what that was about though. But that was about just them flaunting how much money they had.
Well, I've got a coworker like that.
That's different though. But if because I'm a little bit into watches, right? And I have some expensive watches, but honestly, I've always been into watches since I was little. I'm just mesmerized by the mechanics of a watch, right? And I'm into mechanical watches. Then no, I don't like quartz, which is I have no quartz pieces, but again, it's one of those things, right? For a man, it's probably your only accessory that you want to use, right? For if you want to accessorize your outfit with whatever it is, right? Yeah. So that's some things that why they use watches in some cases. In my case, I like the mechanics. I like the horology, the history of the different brands. Because keep in mind that these brands have been doing watches since the 1880s, right? 1880s, 1860, 1880s, and they are still doing the watches. The same companies in the same places.
Well, I think there are a few watch brands that go, not wristwatch, but like making watches and stuff, or clocks go back to like what, the 14th century?
Well, I don't know.
Like
I know that. I know. I mean, I know about the. I have like they have like around. I have 3 Longines, and Longines has been up since 1887, I believe.
Okay. Ironically for me, like my interest in watches didn't actually come into fruition until I joined the Army, and at that point I actually needed watches or a watch to, because we do shit like you have X amount of time to conduct this operation. So I'm sitting there like staring at my watch, making sure I'm staying on track. And so, like, ironically, I've gone through a variety of different watches that were digital that can do like a 24-hour clock face. And I discovered that like a brand called Armatron is like the most resilient watch I've ever owned in my life, in the sense that like it survived, I don't know how many days in the field with me just beating the shit out of it. And I'm like, this is the ultimate watch for when I go to the field. And I have this little Android watch that I like to use when I'm on my normal life and I'm not out in the field.
Yeah.
So for me,
So there's definitely a lot of, as you said, there are the sports watches, field watches. There's a lot of things, right? You can have the diver watches, which are the sport watches that so watches, mechanical watches that you can take the diving, right? And they usually have like very huge pips with lume, so that you can see it underwater. Because it will bright. You will have a torch with you, a fucking light, right? You can light it up, and the clock will be lighting. And so it has a rotating bezel that you can put it so that you can probably use it to measure you, like for instance, how much oxygen you still have on your tank. Right? There's pilot watches to be able to determine your location. There's chronometers that will have a tachymeter to be able to measure how fast something's going, right? Like for cars. Stuff like that. So there's many things.
Yeah, so complete change of subject on you. If you were to sell the entirety of your collection, what do you think you'd get for it? Like if you sold it off like piece by piece, maximum value, not like one bulk sale.
I have a Nintendo M82. That's probably.
Oh yeah. I saw the video you made forever ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably worth like $3.5K, some shit like that.
Next question.
$3,000.
What's your address?
Just that one thing. So, I don't know, man.
While he's thinking, I just want to also make a side note that the company that you're talking about that was from like the 1400s is called Galat and Company.
It's still awesome. All right.
Yeah, so they were making watches in the 1400s, but they didn't register as a company until the 1826. No, it's Gallet and Co.
Oh, they're not making watches anymore, though, right?
No, they're still in business.
What's the name again? Could you send me that?
Yeah, I'll send you a link. GalletWatch.com is the link.
Well, because the funniest thing I remember was,
yeah,
one of the funnier things I remember was that when the Portuguese visited China in like, I want to say like 1580 or something like that, they brought with them this mechanical sand clock, and they were like, "Check out our fucking clock! This thing's amazing!" And so when they got there, and then the Chinese were like, "Dude, we already made one of those like 400 years ago," and the Portuguese were like, "Shit." I just remembered that. I was like, but yeah. So it's pretty intriguing, but because there's a history of clockmaking in Europe that goes back considerably. Because I remember I had a buddy who Yeah, he was a drug dealer. Well, not a buddy, but a coworker. I wouldn't even say I really was friends with him. But he was obsessed with buying like wristwatches, like expensive ones, and like there was a brand that if you bought it, you could literally only wind it at a certain hour of the day. That this watch was that temperamental. It was just crap like that.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I posted a link in the chat and in our chat as well, so you can check it out. I do want to add on just something that I kind of thought about that's really interesting to me as we grow as not a society, but as a group of gamers. Like you look at music, you look at watches, you look at even film. There's a generation that's already passed and made a new generation, but the gamer generation is still alive and kicking. Like most gamers remember or were at least close to being around when gaming really started picking up and getting popular. So it's really interesting to see, back to what I was saying earlier, that we're still alive and like we're slowly having these artifacts, these remnants of our past or our history, to where new generations are already being born, where like the PS4 is their first console, the PS3 is their first console. And it's interesting to see that that's the case. And sadly, we won't be around to see what it's like when we're obviously gone. But it's just kind of an interesting thought to see that gaming is going to be a part of history, and gaming is getting more and more popular every year, I would say, especially competitively. And so it's going to be around for a long time. It could get crazy popular as we go on to with VR and all these other new peripherals and technology that will supersede our generation. So it's just interesting to see that, because you have these watches from the 1400s, you have film from the late 1800, I believe, photography, all these other forms of music, even classical music and even older or less old forms.
Yeah, I guess you could argue. I mean, there are a great example of human entertainment that has survived for centuries is just plays. Considering we have original works from the early Greek periods, where we still have some of their plays in their entirety, so we know the stories and plot lines of those. So yeah, as far video games will never stop being a source of entertainment at this point, unless we have a complete collapse of society,
or technology.
Or technology, which is incredibly doubtful. So I guess you might always have a group of people who are very dedicated to like the beginnings of gaming and stuff like that. But I think you will have an event where the value of those will eventually decrease once our generation starts to kind of keel off. Because, I mean, a great example would be like, look at the Atari 2600. I mean, the value of that system it's never really gone up, but that system is there's thousands of these units of this system in existence. So people are not really looking for it that much. But then again, those people never really had a great interest in it. So I think the primary drivers of this collection phase, I think, is our generation. And so to see where it goes and if it continues at the same strength and tenacity as where we're at currently, I think would be interesting to see. So I think eventually, to say what Antonio was kind of pushing at was eventually the prices will drop, and I think they'll drop even more once our generation keels off. But then again, a lot of these units probably won't be working by then. Like a really good example is the Philips CDI, which has an embedded battery that once it dies at about the 20 to 25 year mark, you have to like Dremel into a microchip to change the battery out. So some of these systems are going to have a serious failure rate. And so the virtual market will allow these games to continue on in that sense, but you won't have the original hardware. But even then, you still have people that are committed to keeping these things alive and working. And not to mention, like even the NES has had new systems released that allow it to work, like the new AVS system that those folks made. So there probably will be more systems in the future. And I think we're probably only a couple of years out before we get like the first CD retro-based system that plays like Saturn and PlayStation games. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Can I just say though that once I saw, and this has to do everything for what we're talking about, okay? But I saw the new Zelda trailer and I jizzed my pants.
Breath of the Wild.
Oh yes. Fucking voice acting finally, the thing.
Oh, they actually have fucking voice acting as opposed to the stupid.
Yes, they will have voice acting now.
No gibberish.
No fucking gibberish.
Oh my
It's
god.
probably gonna still have some gibberish, but at least from what it's being presented so far.
They needed that. They needed that.
I hated that about Zelda. I was like, I gotta read all this shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, that brings me to a good point. Is we got way off topic this episode, but I really enjoyed this conversation, and I wanted to see where it would go. I like this conversation, and I don't feel bad. We can always talk about the Wii U and all that later on, and maybe even Zelda if we get the time to. But yeah, I agree. I'm impartial to the Switch itself, but there are some good games that are going to come out on it, I think. So I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I'm not getting it right now. I'm going to wait a long time. But yes, Zelda finally upgrading. I don't know all about it. But that said, we're all out of time. So I'm going to go back to these guys. If they have any closing statements, they can definitely make that. But they're also are going to let you know where you can find them and what they do, starting with Antonio.
Yeah, first of all, I need to change my fucking underwear after I saw that trailer again.
You're like, oh god.
Oh. Fucking Switch. Well, a good thing is that it's gonna come out for the Wii U, but it's not gonna be as. I don't know. I'll probably buy it for the Wii U first, and then eventually buy a Switch.
Switch to the Switch.
Switch to the Switch.
Holy shit, you guys had their entire marketing plan figured out. Switch to a Switch.
Nintendo, hire me. Let's go. Marketing director. I got you.
Dude, Nintendo historically has had shitty marketing. Like, Sega trounced the shit out of them in the 90s.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
To learn from that.
Sega Man?
Yeah, but no one was better than Sega, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, man, fucking Sony crippling Sega. Fucking assholes.
Yeah,
Still being around.
They fucked it up. Anyways, you can find me YouTube at Gokala Retro Reviews and Twitter. I honestly don't use that much Twitter, so don't even look at me there. Whatever. Fuck you.
Damn.
Yeah, man.
Is that all? Oh, did you get?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you get my YouTube. Yeah.
I'm out of it, sir.
I told the audience to go fuck themselves. How about that?
Damn. Golly.
Yeah,
all right, Ian.
Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me on www.historicnerd.com. Or if you want to talk to me directly, you can talk to me on Twitter, where I occasionally say really dumb things that I think are funny, which is at Historical Nerd. Occasionally. Very rarely. But the only time I use Twitter is when I share the episodes I make, and even then I'm kind of like, eh. So
is Twitter going down the drain lately?
Twitter's one of those things where it's a platform I never quite figured out. So it's
it's still very hustling and bustling.
It's a very busy platform, but as far as actually being able to follow people, yeah. But yeah, I'd say my closing statement was I can't wait to pick up a Wii U for $20 in a bargain bin. That's gonna be pretty sick.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
That's my motivation there.
I don't buy games brand new almost ever anymore. But anywho, I'm the Philosopher. You can find me on Facebook.com/Philosopher, YouTube at YouTube.com/ThePhilosopher, Twitter at The Philosopher. Of course, you can find me and all these fine gentlemen, or both these fine gentlemen, over at theconsolexplosion.com. Also, if you like this video, let us know by pressing that like button. And let us know what you guys thought about this conversation, anything you have to add on, and what you think about the bubble that these gentlemen talked about that went over my head. No, I got it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, let us know down below. Leave a comment. And if you like the show and want to see more like this and tons more from other contributors from the YouTube world, press that subscribe button so you can get updates every time. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.